Hello, good evening. It is the 2nd of March 2025 and I'm just doing a quick video of my kitchen. Now, as I've said online, I have been a tenant of Northen Homes, who apparently are now calling themselves Northen Homes Ltd, since let's just say it's been for the last 8 years, so please don't try and make me try and remember the exact date I moved in and the year. And I just want to point out that if the property, when I came to view it, looked like this, so basically it's extremely apparent that the skirting board had not been finished, that the wall, this is actually the main wall to the house. This here, let me just stand up a second. This is the main wall to the house. The kitchen itself, which I still haven't completely cleared yet, is an extension to the property. I don't know when it was put in. I know it's been here over the 8 years that I've lived here, and there are clear signs of subsidence. They are apparent internally and externally. Now, again, when I moved in 8 years ago, the cracks that you can see near the doors were not as apparent as they are now. The window itself still hasn't been properly fitted, and the boiler is new, but the hole next to it, which hasn't been covered up since the new boiler was put in, is still there. And bearing in mind, one of the main reasons I contacted Environmental Health, so I think I've been quite lenient with this landlord, was because they refused to service my boiler for 2 years. When it finally came to be serviced, the only reason my landlord agreed for it to be serviced was because I had approached Environmental Health again. I did contact them during lockdown because we had a rat infestation, and I wasn't 100% sure whether or not the rats were actually getting into the property I was renting because of where they had their nest outside. So the council at the time, they did pay for people to come out and assessed where they believed that the rats were being housed. And they concluded that I was okay. It was obvious that there was no sign of rat infestation in the property itself. However, they were probably tunneling underneath the extension of the property. In other words, underneath the kitchen. So for that reason, all of the external flooring outside, all of the slabs had been moved due to the rats tunneling underneath them. So all of them, Environmental Health told my landlord had to be relayed. They also told my landlord, because it was during lockdown, that when it was safe to do so when me and my family didn't have COVID, to have a qualified electrician and plumber assess the property, make sure that the gas was up to date, that the electrics were up to date, because even though it was during lockdown, they still had to comply with the annual gas safety regulations and the 5-year electrical safety inspection that has to now take place legally in a rented accommodation, which until the council told me I wasn't even aware of. So all of the information about this can be found online. It can be found through the Citizens Advice Bureau, it can be found through your local council, and it can be found through the charity shelter. So let me just point out, when I moved into this house, I couldn't see this floor. I could see that there was a floor. I could see that it looked like it had been tiled. And these tiles are like a lino kind of tile. And I thought to myself, you know what? I'm only going to be here 6 months. That is what I got told by the estate agent. That is what I got told by my landlord at the time, because they were actually in stage 4 of cancer. And so I got told by both, we are looking at renting out this property for 6 months because the landlord's in remission. It's going to give the business and everyone involved in running Northen Homes and the family enough time to decide what they're going to do with the portfolio of properties that are owned by Northen Homes. So I looked at this house and I thought, oh, you know what? It's right near where my children go to school now. They didn't go there at the time. It's close to my family. It's close to the hospital. It's on a major bus route. There's shops that are available for me to walk to. You know, everything I needed within the area, I knew, I trusted, and I looked at it as, okay, I'm going to be here 6 months. Whilst I'm here, I will actively look for somewhere else to live. But unfortunately, fortunately or luckily, 6 months turned into 8 years. And over the last 8 years, the main issues I've had with this property have been the kitchen. And every time I notified my landlord by the phone number they gave me, it would take over 8 weeks for them to respond. So I didn't know whether it was because my landlord had died, or whether my landlord was in hospital, or whether the business had been sold. All I knew was that my tenancy kept rolling. I kept paying my rent, and I still have not officially been told by Northen Homes that my landlord passed away and that his son has took over the business. And